Hey guys, welcome to another episode with the Struggling Hunters. Appreciate you tuning in. Very much appreciative. I can't really say that enough, but we got a little episode tonight we're going to go over our turkey hunt. We went out last Tuesday and kind of just go over that content of what we did and what happened and what we saw and our takeaways and what we learned. So again, I'm Joe and this is Eric.
I didn't know I thought you were going to say it.
I was going to try to just put you on the spot and just see what you did, but did not put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I was trying to be cool.
Oh, okay.
Trying to be the big show. But yeah. So like I said, this last week we went out and did a little evening turkey hunt. Went up again to where we saw, in the area where we saw the turkey from last week, and went above it and kind of hiked down to it. And there's this little like valley, or I guess a hillside that we followed, and just hiked along that way. Thought we did an obscene amount of covered an obscene amount of territory, but we ended up just covering minuscule, a little bit to what we thought we did, and but we still had a good time. I don't know. Where do you want to? So what do you want to cover first? What's the first thing that pops in your mind?
Well, the start of it, I guess, is as soon as we creeped over the hill, there was a creek that down at the bottom, and the way I thought of it in my mind, or I knew about the creek, but I never been over there to hike it or check it out. I mean, well, it was only our second time in there.
Right, it was our first time in the area. Well, we drove up, and then this is our first time into this creek area.
Right. And so I kind of seen it before from the road up above. We were looking down on it, and we're like, oh, we need to probably go down there and walk that. And so whenever we first jumped off the hillside there, the first impression in my mind was, I was like, oh, that's a lot further down there than I thought. And it was pretty dang steep, actually. Yeah. So I guess at that point, we were kind of walking down for a while. And then we kind of got to about halfway down or whatnot. And we were like, well, I don't know, what should we do? And then or I was asking Joe what he was thinking. And he said, let's just side hill it. And I was like, yeah, makes sense. I don't really know if I want to go all the way down there. So yeah, we just started side hilling, and we had pretty good visual advantage. And we were laying out some calls and kind of just doing everything we could to think, that we could think of to try to get something stirred up. And we're kind of doing more of a run gun style instead of just sitting in one spot and calling all day. I
was kind of just drawing on my past experience of finding turkeys, and mostly that's just been, like Eric said, running and gunning. So I'd go out and try to stop and glass and try to find a strutting tom doing his thing, chasing hens, or hopefully something would take off flying. So that was kind of like my idea behind what we were doing.
Right. Try to just get something kicked up. Yeah. And then also, I mean, that was kind of, that was, I can't say my idea. It was Joe's idea or our idea together. But the point is I was kind of thinking the same thing as, let's just try to locate something and, make sure that there's something in this area. And I guess long story short, we kind of got skunked.
Yeah.
We didn't really come across much. The one thing we were surprised about, and I think me and Joe have been the only two humans back there in a while.
Yeah,
anyway.
It looked that way.
But with that said, though, we saw a tremendous amount of elk poop and elk tracks.
Yeah.
And some deer poop and elk tracks too. Or scat, I guess I should say. I don't know why I'm saying poop, but anyway, yeah, it was it was kind of cool seeing all that. We were both kind of, we didn't say it to each other for the longest time, but I think we were both kind of semi horn hunting too.
Yeah.
And never did come across one, but yeah, it was amazing how much as far as tracks and sign, how much animal activity was, because it was steep. It was really steep, and so it was kind of amazing. But it makes sense though, I guess, because probably not a lot of human activity back
for
there.
For this time of year. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I kind of got like the flashbacks to where I was hunting at in Utah for the elk hunt, archery elk hunt last year. Because one area I walked into had a bunch of scat all over the place, and I was like, all right, I'm into them. I mean, but it just turned out to be sheep, so I got like flashbacks of being back in that area and thinking I was in a good area, and I really wasn't. But the two main difference, though, between those two was that area, the vegetation, all the feed, you could say, in Utah was mowed down pretty good. And not that we were hunting or walking in an area that had a lot of vegetation, but there just wasn't all that much like stripped tree bark, or like you didn't really look like there was a lot of activity for the sign that we saw. So to me, it just seemed like the elk were just passing through the area, not really. Well, for one, there really wasn't anything to eat, but like cedar tree boughs.
Yeah. There wasn't much vegetation. It was kind of, or like Joe said, as far as what you would think anyway. But it was a neat area. It was. I mean, we've already said it, but it was steep. It was kind of hell walking through there a little bit,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say I slipped once pretty good, and I was kind of embarrassed, sitting there scratching my head, going, "How did I do that?" And more embarrassed because Joe was watching me. And anyway, so
yeah, it was steep, and then it had it was like sandstone rock faces and stuff, but yeah. So I kind of go on from it. It was, I got thinking about it afterwards, and as we were hiking down, there was this meadow thing looking out there, and I just think it's interesting how you kind of draw. By you, I mean a person when they get thinking. So meaning me, I saw this little meadow down there, and I was like, man, that meadow just feels a lot like this other spot in Utah where I come across turkeys too. So I was like, I think next time we come, we got to hit that meadow. Which, I don't know for sure if that's the spot to be, but I just comparing to what I know, or I shouldn't say not that I know anything, but it just experience tells me that that's probably where we need to be.
Where the habitat would be. Which, speaking of that, so on the way up, we're driving up, and where this meadow is that Joe's talking about, the road is, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile, half a mile away from it. I'm not 100% sure, but there was a pull out where we think that we could access this meadow in. And on the way up, I'm like, oh man, that pull out, we could probably start there. But we already had it in our mind to go up to this other pull out and start from there. But now knowing what we know, I really wish that we would have just started from that other pull out. So, and the second thing is that was actually closer to the turkey that we did see down there further. So we got a little bit of work to do, but this was just the other night that we did this after work, and we just rushed up there as fast as we could and did as much turkey hunting as we could. We only had maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours,
almost 2.
Yeah, we walked back to the truck in complete dark, and I did turn on my light finally, but it was pretty much dark walking out of there. So yeah, it was good though. It was good getting out, kind of working the old legs and doing the, I felt like talking about bringing you back. It brought me back to the first time that I hunted with Joe in Utah, and this guy, was like, well, yeah, where do you want to hunt? And he's like, oh, we're gonna go up that mountain. I'm like, we're gonna find a trail or something to like. No, we're just going straight up the mountain, and oh, it was steep. It was steep stuff. So this stuff kind of, it was steep like that, and it kind of was bringing me back to those times. So
yeah, so it's kind of funny. So we get hiking back to the truck. It gets dark, and we decide to just kind of side hill and zigzag. Instead of going straight up the mountain, we zigzagged up the mountain to get to the top of the ridge that we were on, and we end up hiking back to the truck, and we get to where the hill starts dropping off down to the truck, and we're like, holy cow, that's a lot of distance. But the one thing that I got thinking too is, so we didn't realize how much elevation we rose on the side of that hill, but I think we're fighting two things now that I think about it. As we're side hilling, as we're turkey hunting side hilling, that we're going the direction that ridge was getting taller and taller. And so, as we got to the ridge, and we still had to hike, as we crested the ridge, got on top, heading back to the truck, we still had to hike up before it started dropping down. So we gained our elevation that way without realizing we were really gaining elevation.
yeah, that's a good point. Because like Joe was saying, yeah, we were like, we topped out on top, and we were going back to the truck, and we could see once we topped out, we were walking a little ways, we could see the truck, and we're like, holy crap, we're way up here.
Yeah.
And so.
Not that I haven't really had anything to do with the story, but when we're out there, it really baffled us as to how we gained so much
so
elevation.
much elevation, yep. Yeah, and it was crazy, but makes sense why we were gassing out so fast. But it was probably not the most entertaining. In some respects, it wasn't the most entertaining turkey hunt. Didn't really come across much. I think the only deer we saw was just on the way up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we only saw deer on the way up, and then, but it was good getting out, and turkey season's kind of coming close to a close. I think I got like another 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 or something. I don't know. It's the end of this month, and so got to start trying to hit it a little harder than I previously have been. But yeah, I'll probably just keep hitting that back, or keep going back to that spot and trying to hit it until I come across something, and start at the bottom where we were saying where this meadow is, and then if nothing really pops up there, I'll start working my way up.
Is that what you
draw?
I guess one of the things is kind of did a bunch of circles here, telling some stories and whatnot. But what did you take away from this week's evening hunt?
I guess my takeaway is I can come up with a couple of them. One of them is like, it's always harder than you imagine in your head, right? Like
right.
In your head, you're like, oh, we saw a turkey, and that means that there's, they'll be right there, and did the old, turkey habitat. Oh yeah, it's great. It'll looks like great turkey habitat. There'll be turkeys all over the place, and
right.
And we didn't come across any. Maybe doing a little better Onyx research next time. It's kind of funny. Like if I would have done a topo, I would have been like, "Oh, dude, that's a lot steeper than I realized." But we were already up there a week before, whatever it was. We were already up there. We saw the area that we wanted to go hunt from above the road, and like I said, the way it was kind of an optical illusion to me, at least. I don't know if you looked at it a little deeper or anything, but the way I looked at it, I'm looking at it from top, and I'm like, oh, it looks like you pull out, and then like the creek is right there, and so you just kind of hop off, and I was thinking we'd just walk down the creek, and then like I said, we crossed it over, and I'm like, oh wow, that's down there a ways, and it's pretty steep. So yeah, like I said, I could have a bunch of takeaways of what we could have and should have done. I think we did the run and gun and style a little bit, and so now there's a part of me that's like, well, maybe we should try try to make or do a blind situation or whatever, where we're just setting and calling and try to get something to come to us and see if that works.
I think that's easy to say this time now that we know where that meadow is. I think at the time, you always, hindsight's 20/20. You're like, oh, if we would have hit that meadow first, we could have just set and tried to call. But we didn't know that meadow was there. And so, you kind of take that, just trying to give ourselves some credit. And one of the things as I got thinking is we always seem to make it harder than it needs to be. And, meaning that we did come across a turkey a week before, but we didn't try to hunt too close to where that turkey was. We had to, we had to go where we thought we should go, which, when you're learning an area, that's kind of what you have to do, is do what you think is right, and then cross that off, so that way you know not to do it, I guess.
Yeah, so what Joe was saying is, we had to cross off that area, and that's the thing is, I guess part of this trip was a little bit more scouting, just because we're still trying to learn that area. First time that me and Joe both have been in there learning it, so we're just trying to kind of understand it, and hopefully we kind of learn over time. Hopefully this year and the next few weeks, we can kind of get an understanding of where those turkeys are hanging out at, their pockets that they like. But it might take another year or so to really understand it. But if this area is what we think it is, it might be a good turkey area to give us a shot to get a turkey every year, and it's really what we've been looking for. And we know they're in there because we saw the one, but it's still a good enough sign to know that they're in there. So yeah, it's been challenging, but I'll be the first to admit, this year, I probably haven't really put in the effort like I have in the last few years of turkey hunting, just with everything going on, obligations and working. Joe and I both are working weekends. We try not to bring up our work schedules that much, or work in general that much, but we both have been working weekends this summer or this spring, so it's been kind of hectic, just part of the struggling hunter's lifestyle, I guess. And hopefully one day we get to the other side of that where it's all about success, but that's just kind of where we've been. So hopefully things start turning around for us, and I really have a positive outlook toward this, getting a turkey here this year, and I really think hopefully we can get it done in the next few weeks before the end of the season. I'm still excited about this area that we've been going. It's like our secret area. We can't say nothing, but yeah, I'm excited about it. So.
So the last thing I kind of have written down here is, I know we kind of already talked about it, but how we're going to hunt it next time, and we kind of, our plan is seems like we found that an area that we can just go kind of do a blind hunt and just set up and try to call it in. So that's kind of the plan. Hopefully next time you guys tune in, we'll have done a blind hunt, and we're patient enough just to sit there till the sun finishes getting dark and call something in.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully that works, and I could see the scenario where we start calling, maybe set up your decoys.
Yeah.
And the way it is, it's kind of a canyon, walls on both sides, sort of. And I could see a scenario where a turkey might be up on a point somewhere and just swoop down there, and we're behind the blind and knock it down. Knock him down.
Knock him down, yep.
Yeah, almost messed up there. But anyway, so hopefully that scenario plays out, and I think Saturday, which this will come out Sunday, so it'll be
Next podcast.
anyway. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but yeah, I might have to go out by myself one morning, but I just gotta try to take every opportunity I can since I only have a few weeks and try to get out there. But hopefully I can find something that we haven't seen yet, and I can tell Joe, and we can come up with a game plan together. And I'd rather get one with you than by myself, but I'll do whatever I have to do to get one. So, yeah. Do you have any other closers, really?
No, I don't. I think just kind of the takeaway this week is, cross those areas off, and then really, we probably should have hunted close to where that turkey was that we saw last time. But you gotta get those spots out of your head, and then come up with the game plan for the next time, which is what we're doing. So
Yeah.
that's what I got.
Yep. That sounds good. Well, my closer, and then I'll get us out of here, is kind of with what Joe's saying, is you got to kind of get those spots checked off to make sure, that they're not what you think they are, or they are what you think they are, whatever. And with that said, like, I think we kind of like this spot so much that this summer, I think we're going to really get to know it a little better and go up there and do a camp trip or whatever. So hopefully throughout the summer we'll really understand it a little better and hopefully have better game plans in the future for the game that we go hunting for. So with that said, guys, thanks for listening to us with another podcast. They've been a little bit shorter than some of our old ones, but I don't know. You guys might like them better, a little bit shorter. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, giving us a shot. I really appreciate it. We're doing our best over here, and we're going to keep doing our best, and hopefully the stories get better and we get better.
Right.
And yeah, so consider subscribing, liking, doing the whole thing. You know what to do. Right now, before we get out of here, just go over, if you're on the YouTube, and hit that like button. We need a little more attention over there, so we can get a little more attention.
Right.
So, with that said, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.
Bye.